there is so much to discuss today. At the very point I was coming down to do this video, I've read a report in the New York Times that West Ham are going to replace Carl McCauley. Now, there's so much to discuss on that. I don't know whether that means we're going to have a new head of recruitment, a new director of football. I need to read more about it. I need to do a little bit of digging. This will be tomorrow's video. I think wanted to talk about Espírito Santo's experimentation today, the team he's got to work with, what he's doing wrong, and really how he's such a small part of the problem at West Ham. And I wanted to talk about Sullivan and Brady, which has been made easier because at the point where I was coming down to record this video, I clicked on social media and I saw a clip of a David Crofty, who is a West Ham fan, but not best known for that. He's best known as being he's a commentator for Formula One for Sky. He co-commentates with Martin Brundle. He has given both barrels to the West Ham board. He really has. He has said that whatever Karen Brady and whatever David Sullivan think they're doing it wrong. He's basically said you can't think you're doing a good job here. He said it's time for them to go. He didn't hold back at all. He questioned the composition of the squad. And one thing I really liked as well, because a couple of days ago when somebody said we were sleepwalking into relegation, I said, well, I think our eyes are wide open. Crofty just picked up on the same phrase, and somebody said to him about sleepwalking to relegation, and it's the Mexican Grand Prix this weekend, by the way. And he said it's like there's like a car, not sleepwalking, it's like a car going 220 miles an hour heading down the home straight towards relegation. And it's a. Do you know what? Actually, I've got to tell you the Formula One's been pretty good this season. In fact, I watched every race. McLaren, they're not based too far away from here, but I like watching McLaren. I like Lando Norris. George Russell's my favourite driver, but I like Lando Norris. But McLaren are trying to play it very, very fair, sort of using two drivers. But the opposition, Red Bull, are just putting all their back in behind one driver, Max Verstappen. So looks like they're going to nick not the constructors' title, but the drivers' title off of McLaren, which is a bit of a shame, really. I'd love Lando Norris to win it. Anyway. Well done, Crofty. That's what I would say about that. I want to talk about Nuno Espírito Santo, though, and the team. And I think, first of all, one thing that Crofty said was absolutely right. The manager pretty much said the manager needs to start utilising the squad that he's got at present at the moment to the best of their abilities. This is absolutely right. And to expand on what obviously his thought process was there, which was, look, if we get to January and he gets a back in, and we need to back him, and we need to back him properly, then maybe he can get the players that he needs to suit his style. I'm certainly of the mindset we just can't keep swapping managers all the time. The problem at this club is not the managers. The problem is not the managers. But Nuno did not help himself. But I think what Crofty was saying was, look, when you get there and you get go and buy inverted fullbacks, go and buy the midfielders you want, go and, if the club will back you, of course, go and buy the faster players. But for now, use what you've got. Don't be playing Ollie Scarles at right back. Don't play Irving and Souček in central midfield. It doesn't work. You saw last Monday against Brentford that it didn't work. Basically, I guess to use a cliche, different sport now, poker, play the hand that you are dealt. And I think he certainly should be doing that. I'm not a massive conspiracy theorist in anything, really. And I'm struggling to think that Nuno Espírito Santo's taken a job so as he can get sacked. That's a little step too far for me. I find usually the most obvious explanation is the one on anything. I think he's taken a West Ham job, he's walked in, he's taken a few training sessions, and he has thought, oh my word, what have I got here? This is terrible. And he's turned him into the nutty professor. He's experimenting. He's like a mad professor mixing up all these potions and concoctions and trying to do all these different things. Like, whoa, mate, just stop. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel here. Play a right back at right back, so on and so forth, right? But now I've said that, he's not helped himself. And I think, as I don't think Leeds were very good. By the way, I really don't think they're very good at all. I think there is probably enough in our squad that we should be able to beat Leeds. I don't think it's much more than that, but I think you could have picked a better team than last night. I think the thing that worries me, we looked a little bit better. I do think Leeds stopped playing, by the way, after they got their 2 goals. And, it's a worry that basically we've just lost to Leeds. And by the way, Burnley beat Leeds. But I do think it's a worry that he only really switched formation after Ollie Scarles got injured. It wasn't even formation. Because Ollie Scarles got injured, he ended up putting more players in their better positions. That's a little bit of a worry. Hopefully he understands that now, because he's going to need to swap things. But I think had you have played square pegs in square holes, we might have had half a chance. So that defeat is absolutely on Nuno. But he needs to be backed. Because looking at the composition of the squad, and it was really this news about Carl McCauley which got me thinking about it. I want to go through the squad here, and the match day squad, and look how many influences there are on this particular group of players, which should lead quite nicely into why you need to keep a director of football in position for a number of years to build a balanced squad, which we'll cover in tomorrow's video. Just looking as I'm reading the screen now, Lucas Paqueta, well, a David Moyes signing recommended by Rob Newman. That's as I'm not trying to be tricky with any of this stuff. This is just my thoughts on it. There may be one or two that are inaccurate, but by the time I've finished talking, I think you'll agree that my overriding point, which is this is just a mishmash of players being picked by several different people, is true. Basically, there's not one person with an ethos. There's not one person with a project in mind or with a vision that's saying, I'm going to, over a sustained period of time, select a group of players to play a particular style, which will require pace at fullback, somebody robust, robust central defenders, ball-winning midfielder, box-to-box midfielder, pace out wide, and then whatever their chosen striker might be. Maybe it's a link guy, someone that likes to link the play. Maybe it's someone that likes to get in behind. But an ethos. So when you're building this squad over years, you're buying the same sort of players to fit this system, because managers come and go, players come and go. But if your vision's right, then hopefully when you lose that midfielder, you've got another one that's coming in, which is going to sort of match his skill set, be a similar type player, right? Lucas Paqueta, so yeah, David Moyes, Rob Newman. Malik Diouf, Carl McCauley, Graham Potter. I don't care what the club say about that. I'm just not having it. That's that one for me. Crescencio Somerville and David Sullivan picked him. So immediately, and I'm just on Google here. I am reading these are the first three names I'm reading off of Google, off of the West Ham team sheet yesterday. So we've already got three different influences. Andy Irving, that was Tim Snighton. Jared Bowen, I'm just going to go with David Moyes. So immediately, look at that. Just the first five players I've read out. First five players. Okay, I'm not going to argue they're five different people, because we'll chuck David Moyes in with Paqueta. But I'm not making this up historically. Heard at the time that Paqueta had been scouted by Rob Newman. But it's fine. Look, scouts can do that. Scouts can recommend managers. We'll give Paqueta and we'll give Bowen to David Moyes. All right? But you've still got David Moyes, Potter and McCauley, David Sullivan, and then Tim Snighton. Let's go to Thomas Souček, David Moyes again. Ollie Scarles, academy product. We're not going to give him to anyone. Max Kilman, Julian Lopetegui, Jean-Claire Todibo, Tim Snighton, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Will Salthouse. Could you see the problem here? I know you knew it, but can you see the problem? That is so many influences, and that's our starting lineup. Areola, let's go with David Moyes, right? Go to the bench. Carl Walker-Peters. I don't know this for certain, but bearing in mind that what you saw with Carl Walker-Peters was David Sullivan Jr. with his arm round him, I think he was involved in the deal in some way. Now, by the way, I'm not saying all these players are crap players. That's not my point. I think Carl Walker-Peters was a shrewd signing, but it's somebody else having an influence on that signing. Callum Wilson, Will Salthouse, Matthias Fernandez. Look, some people, the club, would have you believe that it was Max Hans and David Sullivan that picked him, but it also could have been Carl McCauley and Graham Potter. This is actually hard to do as a video. It's just so many names to remember. Songutu Magassa, I'm going to go McCauley, Potter. Freddie Potts has come through the academy. Mads Hermansen, as we understand it, was the pick of, at the time, Graham Potter's two goalkeeping coaches. This is madness. Igor Julio, I don't know. I don't know. That was some desperate stuff, right? Desperate last-minute stuff. Guido Rodriguez was Lopetegui, Callum Marshall, when he was brought over from Irish football. I will attribute that to a scout. Again, I've got no problem with that stuff. That's fine. I do think that youth football, to try and populate the youth team, I think you should be sending scouts out. So, and I think it's a good signing for the youth team. You know, he's done well, and well done. There's a lot of players I don't have complaints about here. I'm not saying they're all crap players. What I'm saying is they've been built by so many people. Too many cooks spoil the broth, right? Which brings us on to January and brings us on to Nuno Espírito Santo. Before I do, Surfshark, boys and girls, Surfshark. VPN. Have you got a VPN? If not, why not? Don't take my word for it. Go and Google it. You're going to need a VPN to protect your browsing data and to enable you to access more stuff online, particularly with the way the internet is going, where it's asking you for more and more of your personal stuff, just so as you can log into just basic websites. You may well find a VPN is the thing for you. And if you want to use Surfshark, then we can give you 4 months free plus a 30-day money-back guarantee by using the promo code HammersChat, or just go to surfshark.com/HammersChat, or you can use the link in the description below. Probably the easiest way for you to find your way there. Please do make sure you use the link, because then you're going to find the offer. If you don't use the link, you won't get the offer. So go and take advantage. You might use it mobile phone, protect yourself on your mobile phone when you're using banking apps or passwords or anything like that. Change your geolocation maybe to access that little bit of content that you can't access because you're in the UK, or maybe you want to access stuff that's in the UK and you're overseas. You can just do that on a click of a button. You get just one subscription will cover all your devices, your mobile phone, your laptop, your Fire Stick, your PC, all of that stuff. Check it out. Link is in the description below. So this brings us to January. Brings us to the January transfer window. Look, big stuff. Big stuff has got to be done. And sorry, I don't know if you can hear that. I don't know if you can hear a noise in the background. Maybe this microphone's not picking it up. Hold on. And if you can hear that there, that is actually there's a big football match going on over there at the moment, and there's only about. I'll say there's only about, it's local football. There's about 600 people there. They are making a right old racket. They do make a right old racket. I've got to tell you, I'll tell you that now. You know, you look at this stuff, you look at the stuff that's happening to West Ham, and, you know, it's hard not to cast an envious eye at lower league football and think, they're just having a really, really good time. I know loads of people that have gone and support lower league clubs now, by the way. Anyway, I digress. Nuno, as nutty as Nuno might be, he's going to need backing in January, which we can't keep swapping managers. I refuse to believe that he's completely lost the plot. I do think the pragmatic manager is in there. I think Mike Bassett is in there somewhere, right? I just think he's got in at West Ham, and I think he's panicked. Now, does that mean West Ham should have a manager that panics? No, but no one's going to take this job anymore. I do believe that Nuno, out of Lopetegui and Potter, was the best one. Now, I'm going to read out a comment to you here, because I think it really deserves... Excuse me, hold on. Excuse me. I'm going to read a comment here, because I think it deserves reading out. This is from Harry Lippman. So hello there, Harry. He was one of the first people to post a comment on the video that I did last night, the review. This is what he said. He said, Lopetegui made me miss Moyes. Potter made me miss Lopetegui, and now Nuno is making me miss Potter. I mean, that is... I thought that was powerful stuff. I did. I pinned it to the top of the comments section. Wow, that made me stop and think. And he's right. Every manager seems progressively worse. But I don't believe that this is symptomatic of the club. This is what I'm saying. I don't believe that Nuno Espírito Santo is worse than all those managers. I just don't. I just think it's almost impossible for any of them to operate under the parameters that I've just discussed, with lots of different people buying lots of different players. We'll deal with the Carl McCauley stuff and whoever's going to be brought in at some, we'll deal with that tomorrow. I'll do a little bit more research on it. But Nuno needs to be backed. This is where we are. It's the only way. I'm not even, by the way, I'm not sure he can rescue us. I think we might be so detached. If he doesn't stop doing this crazy experimentation, we're not even going to be there. But by the way, I don't think Potter would have been any better. I don't think Potter wins any of these games, by the way. And it was bad. That's why he went. It was really, really bad. The irony is, I do think last season Lopetegui was probably going to keep us up. But the fallout still would have happened. There still would have been, there would have been a bigger, more nuclear fallout with Stuyton. It wouldn't be the fact that Potter came in and Stuyton went. The fact of the matter is, and this is why I'll probably discuss this more in depth tomorrow, they just want to run the club how they want to run the club. They don't want these people in. They want to run it. They want to do the signings. They want to do the transfers. They don't want someone in, a transfer advisor or anything like that. They started playing Football Manager. And it's crazy. And I think the worst thing about all this is that, looking at it, is that what are people like Kretinsky doing? Nothing. They're doing nothing. They're letting their investment wither on the vine. And I know they're passengers. Well, I guess we all are in that sense. But at least they're shareholders. They can have some bit of input. But all of this stuff, by the way, comes down to ownership. And in particular, I've got to say, the type of decisions we're talking about, this is chief executive stuff. So much of this lies on Karen Brady's lap. It really, really does. She builds herself up to be this brilliant businesswoman. Maybe she is, maybe she isn't. Who knows? I don't know. I think she's got the persona of that because of The Apprentice. But I would expect a chief executive to be appointing department heads. That's her job. And there is no department. That's why we've got all these different people buying the players. Ultimately, the ultimate responsibility lies with David Sullivan. But I don't think he's going to go. So I think maybe the best we might have to hope for is that maybe you can appoint a proper footballing chief exec. Brady will argue she is, because she's done, she worked at Birmingham before. It's not what I mean. I mean, someone that's going to put in a proper footballing infrastructure. The truth of the matter is they don't know how. They don't know how to put in a footballing infrastructure. They don't know what it looks like. That they meet when they go home and away. The directors meet the other directors of the other clubs. They haven't, but in spite of whatever, what is it? 7, 8. I can't even bloody do my maths. 18 times a season they're meeting people, and despite sharing a room with them, they can't recognise what's going on the other side of the boardroom and what the other clubs are doing. They don't recognise what an infrastructure is. They're still doing it their way. Oh, you get one, I'll get one, I'll get one. We'll sack the manager. Let's bring in a new head of recruitment. Oh, do you know what? Let him take a few players. Oh, do you know what? I might pick another player. Well, Mr. Salthouse, would you like to take a player? Yeah, go on. You can take one. It is like a boxer celebration without the celebration. It's the misshapes. That's what it is. It's the box of misshapes. It's the discount box with all the crap in it. I was going to say we're just left with all the coconut ones, but even that, they'd all be the same. We're not. There's such a mishmash. It's all mental. It's all mental. It's a packet of revels, if you know what I mean. I'm going to go. I'm losing my mind here. Make the point. I don't want to sack Nuno. I think we're going to need him. We need him to get his sanity back, and we need him to be backed.